Hello, lovely people. My name is Michaela. Welcome to my channel. I have a confession and an announcement. So, my confession is that the episodes 3 and 4 of Sandman have kind of, you know, failed. I wouldn't say it's failed, but we had certain issues. One with the screen recording, one with no sound on my actual reaction, and then there was a file crisis where I couldn't retrieve certain files from an external hard drive because it just chooses not to work. So yeah, all of these issues kind of caused me to reevaluate um, whether I wanted to redo that content. So hello, lovely people. My name is Michaela. Welcome to my channel. I have been going through it with these Sandman edits and episodes 3 and 4. Whether I've had audio difficulties or the screen recording not being able to be retrieved from external hard drives, I'll save all the details, but basically it's made trying to edit and put up the episodes 3 and 4 a pure lesson. We'll call it a lesson. It's been very challenging. So, what I'm going to do for episodes 3 and 4, instead of trying to battle with stuff that's not working, is basically give you my review for both episodes, and then I'll pick back up on episode 5. I contemplated not continuing Sandman because I'm not loving it. I don't feel completely hooked. I'm finding it interesting. I enjoy seeing how Neil Gaiman and the screenwriters really brought the characters to life. I don't really know the comic or anything like that, but I really did enjoy American Gods with Neil Gaiman, and this mythological or archetypal type of character being brought to the screen in modern times. I always love these types of things. So it was a surprise to me that it didn't really grip me very much, but it is what it is. So yeah, I'm going to continue anyway, though, because I have a few friends and family who are keen for me to get to certain episodes. So I'm going to continue, and I'm sure there's a reason why they're recommending it. So without further ado, I'm going to give a short review of the third and fourth episodes of The Sandman so that I can just push past and move on to the fifth with an actual reaction with the lessons learned. So, episode 3. I'm just going to refer to my notes because I went back and I rewatched so I could take some notes. So, to start off with, we're introduced to a new character, Joanna Constantine. Now, it kind of in my head got jumbled up with the other Constantine. It made me wonder if there's some type of relation or connection between the two, even though Constantine is considered. The second character that was introduced was Matthew, the new Raven. Obviously, Morpheus was not too keen on having another Raven after what happened to Jessamy, her being basically splattered in his face. That was so unfair when she was trying to help him. I'm sure he's kind of traumatized by that. But yeah, Matthew, his voice, I'm not a huge fan of, but he does offer some comedic relief. And yeah, he could add a new element to the show that maybe be more liked than just hearing Morpheus in his deep, dark, kind of angsty, I don't even know how to describe him, melancholy tones. Because, I don't know. I think it's good to have a bit of that likeness. So we'll also see how that goes. Now, three major things that happened in this episode were the passing away of Ethel and the passing on of the amulet to John, which I don't think made any sense because she was trying so hard to keep the ruby away from John after he did these atrocities with it. But then she hands him the amulet, which is equally, if not more, powerful, and then she evaporates away into nothingness. And the look on John's face, he feels very villainous. And the fact that he said he modified the ruby, so maybe he's into some of these, like his mom and his dad, he's into some of this, I don't know, bad magic, dark magic, demonic magic. I don't know. But for him to say that he's changed the ruby in some way, it kind of makes me feel a bit concerned about what his abilities actually are, and especially because he doesn't seem like a very mentally stable kind of dude. This is starting to sound like a villain origin story, or maybe we've just had an interlude and we've jumped back into a second act. Who knows? What else? So the second thing that happened was this exorcism that Joanna did. She seemed like she'd done hundreds of these, like Vampire Slayer, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or Charmed. Like it was reminiscent of one of those shows where she kind of tracks down, demons and stuff and kills them or banishes them or whatever she did to it. It was a clever twist that it wasn't actually possessing the princess. It was her very amiable and innocent seeming partner. So that was pretty funny. And I'll be interested to see if that is a family legacy. It seems like there's a lot of trauma surrounding these types of experiences in her life to the point where she cannot or chooses not to commit to relationships. I don't know if that's a fear of being left or a fear of leaving someone behind. Who knows really? I guess we'll uncover that the further we get into the series and the more we get to know this character. But yeah, there's definitely some deep-seated traumas and things that emotions that she'll need to be working out through the duration of this show if they do it right. And the third thing was the Rachel and Joanna reunion, where we discovered that Rachel had been basically laid up in the bed with the sand. It's not even funny. She'd been laid up in the bed with the sack of sand, basically conjuring up these dreams to make herself feel better. And this level of escapism out of depression, basically, yeah, took her life. She was caught up in this bliss, and she was able to stay alive from it. It kind of gave her the energy she needed to survive but not really to live. I mean, I bet she hadn't been out of that bed for months. And, it was just slowly deteriorating in her physical body, even if her etheric body was free to kind of imagine and play and have her fantasies. So I think that's a very good depiction of how some people kind of live in their escapism, and maybe they don't see the same physical ramifications as Rachel, but is something to consider as well. How far escapism can kind of take you into a place where you don't need to go. And it was very merciful for Morpheus to release her from the body and kind of give her a good eternal dream. So yeah, that was kind of cool. So those were my episode 3 reflections. And yeah, I'm looking forward to delving deeper into all of these characters' stories. And because we, at the end of the episode, we're headed to hell, I'm really curious to see, yeah, what happens there, what it looks like, who they meet. And yeah, that's it. So let's go to episode 4. I'm going to go ahead and review that one now. Okay, so I just finished reviewing episode 4, and here are my takeaways. We started out when Morpheus and Matthew had reached hell and they were kind of taking in the surroundings. Matthew was making some kind of comedic observances about, the people holding the torches. Why did they bring their own fire to hell? And the temperature, it's not hot. Why is it cold in hell? Ha ha ha, very funny. I mean, it was kind of interesting, but nothing too, mind blowing. The depiction of hell wasn't something that seemed so out of the ordinary. from what we've seen in other shows and other depictions. It was interesting that the doorbell was kind of a door gong. That kind of struck me when I saw that. And yeah, in general, the landscape of hell seemed to be done really quite well from a visual standpoint. We then kind of went back to John, and he was picked up by a woman called Rosemary, who, why would you pick up a guy like that? And why would you agree to take him a far distance? Like, I would take him somewhere close, maybe if I even picked him up, or maybe I'd help him call someone for some help. But agreeing to take a stranger somewhere and you just, I don't know, he just looked a bit odd. I don't know if I would have, yeah, I don't know if I would have done that. Not that late at night, definitely. And especially how suspicious he kind of seemed. And the fact that Constantine gave him his jacket, it makes me feel like there's some type of tracking or something, whether that's a physical tracker or something that, Constantine can just feel where his jacket is, like it's his way of getting to the ruby. But who knows? Maybe John's modification to the ruby can even stump Constantine because it looks like it stumped Morpheus. So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Morpheus, he ends up talking to Lucifer about his helm that's being held by one of the demons. Lucifer Morningstar is played by Brienne from Game of Thrones, which is pretty fun to see. And the battle that ensued, the challenge where they had to come up with scenarios that would, better the one before. That was really, really cool to see how they creatively wove these situations that were, ultimately, one on top of the other. And actually, when it got to, what was it? Anti-life. So Morpheus was describing like the beauty of life and how it encapsulates everything. And then Lucifer Morningstar comes in and describes anti-life. And it's like, wow, what is worse than death? Or what can trump death or nothingness? And the fact that hope came out of that, which is kind of can be seen in some scenarios as a synonym to dreams. Someone say hopes and dreams. Hopes and dreams go kind of side by side in many kind of phrases. So yeah, hopes and dreams trump death in that aspect. So that was cool to see. That was really nice. And the creativity of that whole battle was quite entertaining visually, especially. Also the stakes were very high for that. Like he had to have confidence in, what he was bringing to the table because the alternative was him having to be a slave in hell for all of eternity. But I guess once you spent 100 years naked in a glass sphere with what's his name? His name Rodney. Oh, I can't remember his name now. But with the guy who held him prisoner, I guess he'll do anything to get his helm back if that's the only way. Then he has to sort of risk it. Otherwise, what's the point? I did get quite frustrated at Rosemary and how silly she was. Like she didn't even like she was a very nice woman. She was a very nice woman, but also super naive. Her survival instincts were so, so, so low. It's only when he literally mentioned that he was locked up for arson and murder that she started to feel this unease and worry, as any normal person would. But there were so many indications before that that she should have taken note of. So that was a bit frustrating. And then the situation at the gas station, the attendant was very annoying as well. Like, there, the guy is right there. You're just gonna, can we be discreet? This is obviously a dangerous person. So I don't know. I guess they wouldn't know that he would have a defense sort of mechanism in the amulet. But still, I feel like people should be a bit more savvy in that regard. So that was a bit frustrating to see. It was almost unrealistic that they were kind of so naive and didn't really act in a way that showed any real life, I don't know, survival instincts. So I don't know. It was what it was. That's where we kind of left off. Actually, no, they got to the ruby in the end, because Rosemary took him all the way to the ruby. And then she didn't leave. She waited outside for him like a sucker, you know? I don't know. There's nice, and then there's just, I don't know. I don't want to insult the woman, but I wouldn't have been waiting out there after all of what I witnessed. But for her trouble, she ended up with the amulet, which to some might seem like a reward, a good reward. To me, it seems like more of a burden than a reward. Can you imagine her killing someone by accident? Personally, I would try and destroy it or get rid of it in some kind of way because, yeah, I am not trying to accidentally harm people with something like that. So, yeah. And then, yeah, so John has the amulet. Dream and Matthew were unable to retrieve it because it's been altered. So, yeah, we still don't know how it's been altered and what that says about John and his abilities. Maybe he got more from his dad than he thought, even though he never met him, dabbling in all of those dark kind of practices and rituals in order to be able to impact the ruby. I don't know. Anyway, we shall see. On to episode 5. I haven't recorded this one yet, so I'm going to be vigilant and make sure that everything is set up correctly so that you can get a proper reaction and not just one of these reviews. But yeah, I think after episodes 3 and 4, I'm enjoying the series a bit more because, yeah, the first two, I just wasn't really getting into it. Now, my curiosity has been piqued with a few plot lines, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. So I'm going to leave it there for now. If you enjoyed this video and want to follow along with me as I continue Sandman, please like, comment, subscribe so that I know that you guys are watching and that you want me to continue with it. I'm also going to be watching Miss of Avalon and starting X-Files. I'm not going to explain too much of that in this video. I'll leave that for another one. But that's just to let you know what may be on the horizon. So that's all for this time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.